In this video, we're going to be working through number 13 in the Chapter 5 test review. This is a proof, so if you did not have a two-way table set up for you, go ahead and draw one. We are given that some angles are congruent, and we are trying to prove that the two triangles, triangle ADB is congruent to triangle CBD. So remember, when we're trying to prove triangles are congruent, our goal is to try to find one of our 5 congruence theorems that will work in this picture. And then we can go ahead and state that the triangles are congruent. So let's start with our givens. We're first told that angle A is congruent to angle C. That was not labeled in our picture, so let's go ahead and mark those angles as congruent. That shows us that we have one pair of congruent angles so far. Our second statement, angle ADB is congruent to angle CBD. Let's go ahead and mark those two angles. I'm going to use 2 arcs this time. Angle ADB is this angle here, and angle CBD is here. That gives us our second pair of congruent angles. So right now we have 2 pairs of congruent angles. If I'm looking at my different possibilities, I know I'm not going to have any of those 3 congruence theorems in this picture. So this kind of shows me I've got to find a side that is congruent. Now remember, we can't just make any side congruent. We have to look for properties and definitions that we see in this picture. Hopefully you notice that these 2 triangles share side BD as one of their sides of the triangle. And so this is a side that's congruent in both of the triangles. Line segment BD is congruent to itself. If I put it in my picture, I need to put it in my proof. So line segment BD is congruent to line segment DB. And now that property that says a line segment is congruent to itself is the reflexive property. That got us one pair of congruent sides. So now I have 3 congruent pieces. I'm ready to determine which of these 2 congruence theorems is being shown here. I have 2 pairs of congruent angles and 1 pair of congruent sides. Now I want to ask myself, is this side in between the angles or is it outside the angles? The 2 angles are on this line segment. This is the side in between the angles. So this tells me that the congruent side is outside the angles. So we are working with an angle side property here. We are ready to now state that the 2 triangles are congruent. So our fourth and final statement, triangle ADB is congruent to triangle CBD by the angle side congruence theorem.